Good morning. It is a Tuesday morning. We've got some interesting weather to talk about, more clouds, a little bit unsettled weather. Maybe you'll see some product that suggests maybe a thunderstorm chance of the next couple of days. The reason is this low pressure. I don't know if you can see it. We'll pick it out later on too, but there's a low sitting down here. This is the rotation. And so it's taken the inversion and it's lifted it up. So you've got clouds pretty far inland, low clouds, stratus, fog, low clouds, you name it. And then you got some of these higher clouds. This is the opportunity, the higher level moisture or mid-level moisture that is available for the chance of a thundershower as the dynamics from this system could interact with that moisture. So we'll keep an eye on that. What I love about this picture, the visible satellite, you can kind of pick out like Mount Shasta here, Mount Lassen here, and you can also see the shadows on that cumulus cloud, right? So you can see vertical development. So it's a visible picture, so it's not colorized. It's basically showing you the shadow, right, as the sun's coming up in the east, being cast into the west side of this cloud. So indicating that it's a pretty tall cloud, indicating there's some potential convection. So when you look at these visible satellite images, there's so much that you can come up with in terms of what's going on. We haven't really looked at weather, but we see, I would see that and go, that's a chance of a shower or a thunder shower, especially once the day heats up and as it gets towards the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. Very slight chance, though, not a big chance. Temperatures today, Crescent City is going to go 61. Santa Rosa is going to go 66. San Francisco is 62. San Jose, you'll be 71 degrees. Redding, 84. Sacramento, 75. So temperatures have come down a few degrees, a good 5 to 6 degrees. Fresno, 81. Bakersfield, 82. Los Angeles, 70 degrees. So kind of a spring-like day around the area. And that's what you're going to notice most this week or the next few days is, it is spring. Because the last few days, last 4 or 5 days, have been anything but spring-like. They've been very warm, above average, right? I mean, nice spring. But this is more typical April 15th weather. So we're looking at the depth of the marine layer. What else I want to show you? Okay, we got a lot to talk about today. I'll get right to the weather, which we have. Hope you're having a good day. Tuesdays are kind of, right? What else I got to talk about? We're going to talk about Paiute Indians in the Owens Valley at the end of this. So you can just stick around for the weather. And then if you want to stick around, you got coffee, hang out for the last part. I'm going to try to be more aware of the indigenous peoples of our state, because I love our state, and sometimes our history, all the time actually, our history glosses over them. And so I was talking to a good friend of mine, Dan McInerney, who works with the Hawaiian culture with the Olokai Foundation. It's his foundation, or he's in charge of it. And we were talking about that, and it's like, yeah, because everything we do is sort of like from a perspective of us, right, the Europeans, and it's awesome, like my ancestors, right? But at the same time, what's been laid upon the California Indians, it's a horrible, horrible history. It is. I'm not going to get into the horribleness of it, but you'll infer it from what we talk about. Okay, so there's the marine layer is the story today. It's deeper. Well, the story today is just low, right? That made the marine layer deeper, which has allowed it to push into the delta, up into Sacramento, out in towards the Gridley area, and then all the way down into the inland areas of Southern California. So we know what to do when we want to see how deep the marine layer is. We go to the profiler. Profiler reads from this side, right, to this side, which is now. So it goes, it's like a old barograph, a pressure reader. It turns and it goes, if you didn't know what a barograph is, you would know what that is. But anyway, it goes from right to left. But here's the thing, look at it, right? Yesterday it was a little cooler, right? A little cooler. Look at the marine layer. Somewhere around midnight it's stretched out. And then somewhere around this morning, it's to the point now where it's at 3,500 feet, where it's really not even the marine layer at that point. At that point, at 4,000 feet, it's just clouds, man. So the inversion is very, very deep at this hour. So here we are. We start here. This is where it was this morning, or yesterday morning. And then you see it's gradually been deepening until we get to here. So acoustic profiler, four-door profiler. When we look at this, we're looking for the marine layer, which is the inversion level. And the inversion right now, you could safely say there's an inversion at 2,800 feet. So it's a deep, deep inversion, and that's what we're dealing with this morning. We will probably be doing the next couple of mornings as that low moves in. Here's the low now. You can see it more clearly, right? So there it is. And those are the high clouds. It's pulling up these high clouds from the deserts in the Gulf of California even. And so that's enough to potentially trigger a few thunderstorms. Am I really bullish on it? No, but it's the mechanisms are there, so you got to go, yeah, that could happen, especially if you get a weird clump of moisture that bumps into Mount Hamilton in the middle of the afternoon. You know, there's a lot of things that could come together to create a thunderstorm, and they could today, so that's why you're seeing some chances the next couple of days. Actually, around this country, I thought we'd look at everybody's temperatures. Seattle, or up around Seattle, 64 degrees, 75 in Portland, 63 in Oakland, 82 in Bakersfield, and 65 down towards San Diego. And then the rest, I kind of like this map. Isotherm map, isobar maps. ISO just means equal. So isotherm, thermal temperature, represents temperature, equal temperature lines. So if I were to trace this line here, this would be all the 90s and 80s, and they're tied together with lines essentially, or with colors in this case. So there you are. There is the forecast for today. Temperatures tomorrow will be very similar, almost the same, maybe a little cooler. Here is the GFS. There's that chance of a thunder shower today, right? And you see some up west slope of the Sierra Nevada this afternoon. Makes sense, right? It's daytime heating, moisture comes in, a little bit of lift, right, and get that orographic potential. So maybe, but you see those little up around Redding, you know where you are, Mount Lassen, Red Bluff, that lens up there. A lot of times that moisture gets funneled up into the northern part of the state and kind of just waits there as fuel. And that's why that model is going, hey, I've seen this before, right? I'm going back. So this is this afternoon. The model's going, oh, I've seen this before. Let's put it in. So that's how models tend to work. And then you can kind of, and then there's something that's on Wednesday afternoon. So same idea, same set of dynamics. So today and tomorrow, that slight chance for a thunder shower. I'm not changing my plans, but the mechanisms are in place. And that looks more robust for Wednesday afternoon. And then it just kind of peters out. A little bit of wind here. That's a warm-up period. And how do we know it's going to warm up? We'll look at the dashed lines. See them go up, 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 and the ridge building in. The dashed lines are the thickness lines. And you can, I won't get back into thicknesses right now. I know we cover a lot. I should literally slow down, but I want you to get your weather. But you'll see. Okay, so anyway, here's the rainfall and thicknesses. And we're looking at everything staying to the north. This is mean sea level pressure. So we're not in the upper atmosphere. We're just looking for stuff. And you can see where we are, not much going on. And we can check it. What I wanted to do today was check for moisture. Is there any moisture in the area? There's a little bit. See that low down here, right? There it is. And there is moisture. And that's why there's that chance of a shower and a thunder shower. Not a lot. The blues and the purples represent, this is precipitable water in the atmosphere in a deep layer. And of course the atmospheric river would be these long tongues that come out that are in the color of blue or dark green. In this case, you can see much less. Now there's something kind of sweeps by here, not much, but right at the very end of the run, looking for real California weather in the next month. This is April 27th. This looks potential, right? Right. So somewhere around the end of April, early May. So we'll, again, fantasy land, but important to look at because sometimes that stuff goes down, or at least some iteration of that will go down where it'll be close to the area. So what did I just say? Tomorrow's a little cooler. Today's Tuesday. Today's a little cooler, obviously, 10 degrees cooler. Tomorrow's a little cooler still. There's a slight chance of a shower, thunder shower, but you probably won't see one. If you're lucky, you will, but you probably won't. And then the Wednesday afternoon event, maybe some showers, maybe snow flurries up in the mountains, probably snow flurries up in the mountains, but a little higher elevation. And then things start to warm up again as we go toward the weekend. It's a nice forecast. The most fun about this today is that we can kind of like the lifted marine layer. We can see the extended marine layer. We can see the profile. We see how that low pressure, how it's impacted the weather. That low is in conjunction with the fog, has cooled everything off. That low in conjunction with some of that subtropical moisture from the Gulf of California brings that chance of thunder showers. So once you see those mechanisms, you go, okay. I mean, you don't need me. You can just go, oh yeah, subtropical moisture, long, high sun angle, longer days, and a trigger mechanism, the low sitting offshore. It's and yeah. This is today forecast, watches and warnings, wind advisories, wind warnings, frost stuff, still flooding on the Mississippi River. And that's Ohio and Mississippi River still pushing out some water. And they're having problems. Isn't that interesting? This week's a week and a half later. And then this is all wind out here. Okay, moving along, click along. I think we got the weather done. I think we're going to go to, this is the surface map that shows, remember we talked about cold fronts and how they travel. Here's one here. And a lot of times on the line, you see a little bit of rain. When there's moisture available, that cold front squeegees under the warmer air and creates a dynamic for lift. And that dynamic for lift, you would have rainfall down here or more of it, but there's not a lot of moisture available right now because the air is relatively colder. And that's on a kind of dovetailing into what we talked about yesterday. This is from up around, where are we right now? This is up by the Antelope Peak in the Wairika area, kind of north of Mount Shasta, but you can see, clouds changing. You can also see Mount Shasta up a little closer, better shot, and the high cirrus clouds, that's coming up from the south now. Oops, sorry about that. Coming up from the south now. So it's not really a typical, this is coming from the north, there's a weather system. There will be, but right now this is southerly moisture being advected northward. So there's Mount Shasta. This is Mount Whitney. Did a little deep dive on Mount Whitney. I always kind of thought Mount Shasta was top 3. Mount Shasta, in terms of elevation in the state, Mount Shasta is the 11th tallest mountain. Turns out Mount Whitney, we know Mount Whitney is the tallest. That's Mount Whitney from the Bishop Owens Valley area. Mount Rainier's second at 14,411. Whitney's 14,505. And Mount Shasta's 14,179. And the thing that's interesting about, the Shasta always looks bigger because there's nothing around it, right? The peaks around it are all 1,000 feet, something like that. So it rises. And that's why it does so well for lenticular clouds, because it's a magnet for wind flow because it sits by itself, basically unsheltered. Up here, Whitney and these other peaks are all over 10,000 feet, right? So the scope of it gets changed dramatically. So yes, it gets changed dramatically. This is the Owens Valley. We did do the weather. I want to talk a little bit about the it's called Paiute. Sorry about this. Paiute. It's a place where the water flows. That's the Paiute name for Owens Valley. It is where the Owens Indians used to live. And they were known for their irrigation ability. So they were sort of a hunter-gatherer tribe, but they were really semi-permanent because they knew Owens Valley was a rich, lush valley. That's a whole other deal, right? When we talk about Mulholland and bringing the water from Owens Valley and draining that valley and fighting with the farmers. I mean, that history it's not a pretty history either. But the Paiute Indians of Owens Valley were really good at being water engineers and irrigation specialists. I wrote down some stuff. They were semi-permanent in their camps. They were down there until they got moved out, and in 1862, they got moved to Fort Tejon because there was a war between the United States and the Owens Valley Paiute. I'm sure that was not lopsided. And they continued to fight. The Indians continued to fight until the 1867, where there were just skirmishes. But it's just, it's a sad, the Indian history in California is horribly sad. I've read so much California history, check my watch, and the thing that is most dramatic to me is how the history is BS and how it's written, right? Because it's the victors are writing it. And all you got to do is dig a little deeper and you'll see the horrendous things that went on with Indians in the state of California and in this country. But I think California Indians almost more so because they were more dispersed. They weren't able to, they didn't have these Indian nations. They were large, but this is my own opinion actually. But I just don't think they were able to be cohesive enough to even fight back. So it's horrible, horrible, horrible. But this is Owens Valley, and these are the where the Owens Valley Paiute used to live, and looks like around 1890, 1900 maybe. And I took a few pictures from this website, but beautiful people. There are still a couple of tribes of Paiutes in the United States. I actually had the opportunity. It's sort of awesome and sort of sad. This is, and again, Owens Valley Paiute Indians, probably towards the latter days, hence the metal bucket. But I had an opportunity, Doug Powell, when I was at University of California, Berkeley, kind of a world famous geographer. I did a field survey with him for a couple weeks up in the hills. And he took me to an Indian school. And I don't know if it was this same school. Let's see where it is. Yeah, I don't know if it was this same school in Bishop. But it was really brutal. I mean, the history of the Indian schools, and then at that time it was still. This is 1979. The school was still operating. It might not be the same school. I can't remember, unfortunately. But talking to the students there, and the graduation rate was essentially zero, and the teachers everybody was just, so saddened by the fact that these people for future generations were let down by our government, by the state, you name it. So I always think about that story because I talked to some of the kids. I talked to some of the kids, and they're just tribal kids. They're awesome, but they didn't I go, why don't you want to be a doctor? It sounds a stupid question. Why don't you want to be a truck driver or something? And I go, oh, because there's no opportunity. They just seemed like they had no outlets. And that always struck me. And Doug was really good about driving that home because we were privileged kids who were going to the University of California, Berkeley. And we thought we were all open-minded, and I think we were, but it always stuck with me. It still sticks with me, and I can remember that school. And it wasn't horrible, but it was just, Doug made it very clear. He goes, these people are being, being left behind, I guess. And this is in 1979. Okay, enough of that. But that Owens Valley Paiute, very powerful tribe. Lots of Paiutes around the state and around the western United States. There are still some tribes left. This is Siberia, and it looks. I heard the skiing's been pretty good. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't get too heavy there, but I just, whenever we try not, we don't think about it. And if you think about it, you just go, yeah. And my ancestors were out here. They're awesome. I don't think we had any involvement in any of that, but I feel like anybody back then was probably complicit at some level in the 1800s because the propaganda, I don't know. Okay, this is the top of the chairlift. This is kind of down towards Red Dog. I think kind of towards Red Dog. I'm not sure exactly. And it's just a beautiful day with sunny conditions. Highs in Lake Tahoe are going to get into the mid 60s, low 60s. Yeah, low 60s, some mid 60s by the lake maybe. And then this is Ocean Beach. Let me check my watch again so I don't go over. This is Ocean Beach, and you can see swells about 4 to 5 feet. Swells tomorrow about 4 to 5 feet, maybe 3 to 4 feet. And the fog is in, as you know. And that's going to stick around, the fog, for the next few days, right? We know why it's in because of the inversion being lifted. And then this guy on the bike. That's a blast to ride your bike on low tide, especially if you get a long beach. I was just up at Point Conception area, and that's what they like to do. A lot of times, if you can get a low enough tide, you can ride your bike down the beach and go really, really far, which is awesome. Beautiful day. I mean, it is beautiful, right? Fog. And then this is Steamer Lane. They are windy there, breezy, onshore winds. And then we're getting to the Eagles here. And then this is down in San Diego, down by La Jolla. And they've had an okay run as well. It's been good for a while. And then we'll do the birds. And look how big you're getting. Look at you, buddy. Wow. That looks like Mom, just the way she sits. Huh? Looks like Jackie. And the baby birds are not far, you guys. I know. We were thinking, somebody offered up something the other day and said maybe we should, kind of it's kind of have a, what do you call it, a bird pool or something to decide when they fly. I mean, I think they got a ways to go, right? But look at that beautiful animal. And look how big he or she is. I know which one he is too, because he's always awake. The other one's the one on the left seems like he's always snoozing, but he's active too, just not as active as this guy on the right. Okay, so we talked about, so what did we learn? We learned Mount Whitney, 14,505, tallest mountain in the contiguous United States. Mount Shasta is the 11th tallest at 14,179. Paiute, which I probably pronounced wrong, is place of the flowing water. That's what the Owens Valley Paiute called the Owens Valley. And they were semi-permanent folks because they were able to manage irrigation so well. Okay, we will talk to you later. I hope you have a good day, and it's all good. See you back here.